Hello and welcome to my vintage Kenner Star Wars Ewok video. These are all the Ewoks that Kenner made for the Return of the Jedi movie. You have Chief Chirpa, Logray, the Ewok Medicine Man, you have Wicket, Tebow, Papu, Lumat, Rumba, and Warrock. And there's some different variations on these, so I pulled some out of the display to show you the different country of origin stamps, the different paint jobs and such. So we'll get to it, and we're going to start with Chief Chirpa. Okay, so here's Chief Chirpa. He, along with Logray, were the two first Ewoks that were released by Kenner. And these four here are all four from different factories. This first one is from the Cater factory. This one is from the Smile factory. This one is, so these are both from Hong Kong. This is Lily Ledy, made in Mexico for the Mexican market. And this one is Top Toys, made in Argentina for the Argentinian market. A little bit of differences in the way the eyes are painted. You know, the Lily Ledy has a little bit darker hood. Between the Cater and Smile, Cater's a little bit darker hood and more glossy. But when you get over here to Top Toys, you see very glossy hood. But also when Top Toys made their toys, they didn't use Kenner molds. Okay, so Lily Ledy, I'll show you the back of these in a minute. Lily Ledy used the Kenner molds and made the figures that way. When Top Toys did it, they actually just took the Kenner figures and made molds from the Kenner figures. So, which worked fine, except their figures are, as you can see, a little bit smaller than everybody else's. So the other difference you'll see with Top Toys is no footholes. So I put him on a stand just so he'd be in proportion with the others. But Top Toys were the only company to make them without the footholes as well. So those are some of the differences again. So that's Cater from Hong Kong, Smile from Hong Kong, Lily Ledy from Mexico, Top Toys from Argentina. And then we'll take a look at the country of origin stamps. Okay, let's have a look at the back of Chief Chirpa. Again, left to right, you have Cater Factory, Hong Kong, Smile Factory, Hong Kong, Lily Ledy in Mexico, and Top Toys Argentina. Let's get in a little closer and have a look at the country of origin stamps. That's Cater on the left, Smile on the right. So you can see they're kind of close, but looking at variantvillain.com, that was what I determined was Cater and Smile. Lily Ledy has no country of origin stamp at all. It just has a copyright LFL 83. And then Top Toys has absolutely nothing. So Top Toys, again, is a little bit smaller than all the other ones, and no footholes. So that's Chief Chirpa. And next we're going to take a look at Logray. Up next is Logray Ewok Medicine Man. And you can see here right off the bat, different colors in the plastic and the paint. These are all different examples from different factories. The first two on the left are both Cater factory, but they're different variants. The third one from the left is Macau. The fourth one is Lily Ledy from Mexico, and the fifth one is Top Toys Argentina. That's the one that stands out the most, the one all the way to the right there. The Top Toys, as I said with Chief Chirpa, they didn't use Kenner molds when they made their figures. They just used Kenner figures and made molds from those. So when they made their figures there in Argentina, they turned out a little smaller than the Kenners. So let's get a little bit closer here. As I said, these are both from the Cater factory, but you can see the difference in the colors. And otherwise, the weapons in that look pretty much the same, but different colors. So, and their country of origin stamps are slightly different. I'll show you those too. And there's the one made in Macau, which according to Variant Villain, I believe was Unitoy factory in Macau. But so that one says made in Macau. And here is the Mexico Lily Lidi. And again, a little bit different colors on him. And then the Top Toys Argentina, you can see very different colors. And he's really cool. And again, he's a little bit smaller. And Top Toys, no footholes. I put him on a stand so that he would be in proportion to the others. So let's take a look at the backs. So here's the back of the figures, and we're going to zoom in and focus a little bit more on the country of origin stamps. These are the two Caters. Little bit differences if you look at between the H and the K. Periods are in a little bit different spots. So there are even different variants on those. I'm pretty sure they're both Cater. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes. Moving on, here is the one that said made in Macau. So you can see the Macau right down there. And the next one, Lily Lidi, has nothing. So that's made in Mexico. And then there's Top Toys Argentina, also has nothing, but you can see how much darker just totally different paint on that one. And with Lily Lidi. So there you have it. That is Low Gray Ewok Medicine Man. I just wanted to show you Low Gray and Chief Chirpa's first appearance on a card back. And that's them all blacked out right there. Come in a little bit more. So they kind of started releasing figures before Return of the Jedi hit the theaters, and Lucasfilm, for whatever reason, they didn't want to show what the Ewoks looked like yet. So I remember getting these card backs when I was a kid and wondering what the heck those figures were and why they were blacked out, but that's them. So that was their first appearance. That was the first time we heard of these figures, and they were all blacked out. We didn't get to see them. But that's Low Gray and Chief Chirpa there. And next we have Wicket. Wicket's probably my favorite of the Ewok figures. He, not a whole lot of variants with him. There is a Lily Lidi Mexican Wicket, but I don't have that one as of yet. One of these days I'll get one. But for the US market, you had the Taiwan right here, the made in Taiwan, and then the rest of them have no country of origin stamp. These are the Smile Factory. And then of course I have the bagged one. It's cool having the figures sealed in bags. It's never been opened. It came that way from the factory. I used to have a lot more. I didn't like the way they displayed. I had Darth Vader. I had a whole bunch of bagged figures. I just didn't like the way they displayed in my cabinet, so I ended up selling off most of them. But I am a Wicket fan, so I kept this bagged one. And then we can have a look at the backs. So here's a look at the back of Wicket. We'll get you in so you can see the country of origin stamp. And right there on his back, you can see the Taiwan, LFL, 1983 Taiwan. And then the Smile Factory ones are the same as Lily Lidi. So the only difference is Lily Lidi's facial, the eyes and nose are going to be more of a gray color than brown. But these are Smile, no COO. And then here's another one. This one's the one that's sealed in the bag. So Kenner used tape on one end and then heat sealed on the other. Some of them are sealed on both ends and some of them are taped, but never been opened. So that's Wicket. And again, he came out a little bit later. He wasn't in the first wave of Return of the Jedi figures. He came out a little bit later in the line, but the one from my childhood is actually the Taiwan. This is the one here I've had since I was a little kid in 1983. All right, so then we will move on. And up next is Tebow. And Tebow only had two factories where it was produced, and these are both of them. The one on your left is Unitoy Factory in Hong Kong. The one on your right is the Taiwan Universal Manufacturers in Taiwan. So, and we'll get a little bit closer, and you can kind of see the difference. You know, the Taiwan, a little bit lighter gray than the Unitoy one on the left there. And not much differences, you know, nothing huge, but definitely color differences between the Taiwan and the Unitoy. And then we'll have a look at the back. Okay, here's a look at the back, and again, you can see the Taiwan, a little bit different color on the right. And we'll get in country of origin, and you see the Unitoy doesn't have one. And over here, Taiwan, right down there on the right leg. So that's Tebow. And we're ready to move on. So up next we have Poplu on the left, the brown one, and Lumat on the right, the gray. And these two were the very last figures that were produced and released under Return of the Jedi cards, or in Return of the Jedi card backs. There was one more wave, just these two new figures. They put these out on Return of the Jedi cards and then stopped making Return of the Jedi card backs and started making Power of the Force. So these guys also came out with the first new wave of Power of the Force figures. So they're counted as part of the last 17, even though they did not premiere on Power of the Force card backs. The other interesting thing about these two is they were both only made by Lily Ledy in Mexico. None of the factories in Hong Kong or anywhere else made Poplu and Lumat. They were only made by Lily Ledy in Mexico. So some of them, they were still released in the United States and throughout the world, but the card backs just said made in Mexico. Lily Ledy did make some of their own card backs for the Mexican market as well that are in Spanish and different. I love Lily Ledy card backs. So we'll take a look at the back of these next. Yet another interesting thing about these two figures is there's no country of origin stamp, no date stamp. So we'll move in a little bit closer here. And you can see there's simply nothing there. So wasn't a big deal to Lily Ledy whether they put a date or a country of origin. None of them ever said made in Mexico on the figures, but they usually had a date, but these two don't. So not a whole lot for variants. They were only made in one factory, and I don't even know that there are differences in different country of origin stamps for them, but there you have it. That's Poplu and Lumat. So earlier I mentioned that Poplu and Lumat were only made in Mexico by Lily Ledy, and they were released in other countries, and the card back said made in Mexico. So this is an interesting Lumat card back. This is Kenner, Canada, and you can see the French writing up there in the upper right hand corner. Unfortunately, the lower part of the picture got torn off when some happy kid pulled the card off, or the figure off of there, but I want to zoom in down here and show you this is what I was talking about right there. So made in Mexico, and then it says it in French and English. So you can flip this around, and that's the back. You can see it's out in English and French. So I'm a sucker for anything from the other countries too. And if you haven't checked out the overview of my international shelf, which is down there, check out that video of my walkthrough of my international shelf. I got figures from all over the world. So anyway, that's a card back from Lily Ledy, made in Mexico for Lumat. And this one was released in French and English in Canada, Kenner, Canada. And last but definitely not least, we have Romba in the brown and Warrock in the gray. And these two were both released only on Power of the Force cards. They were the last wave of 15 new figures made that premiered on Power of the Force cards. And being as such, if you're a collector of these, you know that those last 15 figures tend to be pretty expensive, maybe with the exception of Anakin. But these guys, they go for pretty decent money nowadays, especially when they're in good condition and have all their accessories like this. But they didn't make a whole lot of the last 17. They made one batch, shipped them out, and then pretty much closed down production of the Star Wars figure line. So not a lot of these were made. There's plenty of them out there, though. They're not rare. They're just not nearly as many made as the other figures. And A lot of people my age, for instance, I didn't collect these when I was a kid. I was already getting a little bit older. These came out in 1985, and I wasn't playing with Star Wars figures anymore. So unfortunately, I didn't buy any after like very early 1984. So these I had to acquire as an adult. But let's take a look at the back of these two. All right, now we'll have a look at the back of Ramba and Warok. Both figures were only produced in the Smile factory in Hong Kong, so there's not much for variants on these. But again, they were part of the last wave of 15 figures that were released, that premiered on the Power of the Force card backs, and they didn't make a whole lot of these. They are out there, but they do go for a pretty penny nowadays. So that's Ramba and Warok. And I just wanted to show what they look like in the display. Up here we have Teebo and Wicket. There's Warok and Lumat. And then Chief Chirpa, Logray, Ramba, and Poplu. And actually down here, I have another display with the last 17. So thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed it, feel free to go ahead and click like, and I hope you subscribe to my channel. And you can check out my other videos. I have over 60 videos now on there. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody.